Ayo, what's up? Whoa, that was fucking loud. Ayo, what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only WestCoastKing and welcome back to Major League 90. Now, before we get into this episode, we do have to preface this by saying that a lot of the results, specifically this week and probably next week as well, are slightly skewed. You have to put a bit of an asterisk by these results because not only do we have international friendlies going on, specifically for the United States national team, so there's a lot of MLS players away at that team, but we also have the Under-20 World Cup going on this past week, and there's quite a few players away at that as well. So a lot of teams, or at least a couple of teams, are missing 3 or 4 players from their roster, and that's kind of hurting them a little bit. Now, I wanted to preface this episode with that because I want to start off with the teams that are struggling. I really want to talk about those teams that just don't have it right now. And number one on my list is the New York Red Bulls. Quietly, I think, struggling. Not a lot being said about them, but in their last 6 games, they have taken 4 losses with 1 draw and 1 win thrown in there. They've been outscored 12-3, and honestly, outside of Tyler Adams, I can't think of another player they have away on international duty. I could be wrong about that, but I just, nothing is coming to mind. I don't think they're missing very many players. I don't know what's wrong with that team. They're flat out not scoring goals, and that is not like New York Red Bulls. Usually one of the highest scoring teams in the league, but whatever they're doing this season is different from what they were doing last season, and it's not working. It's flat out not working. They're holding on to the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference right now by a thread, just ahead on a tiebreaker over New England. They're tied at 20 points apiece with New England for that 6th spot in the Eastern Conference, but they have 1 more win than New England. That's the only thing separating them. New England has a far superior goal difference. I believe New England has a +5 right now, and New York Red Bulls have a -6. It's just not going well for the team, the original team from New York. Now, a team that has been significantly hit by this international frenzy that's going on right now is RSL. And, oh boy, are they struggling at this point. They played 2 times this past week, once on Wednesday, once on Saturday, and they got beat a total of 11-3. Midweek, they were down in Houston. Not a fun place to go play right now. Houston is elite at home, and they slaughtered RSL 5-1. Now, like I said, they got hit hard by this international business going on. They're missing Acosta. They're missing Glad. They're missing Lennon. 3 players that are key to what they do there at RSL. Without them, they clearly have no idea what the hell they're doing on offense or defense. Those are a lot of players in different positions that make up a large part of everything that they do, and they look completely lost out there. And then they went on Saturday to Dallas. This was not a Dallas team we've seen very much. We knew that Dallas had this in them, but you just hadn't seen it yet this season. And they turned it on, and they absolutely mollywopped RSL 6-2. Wow. I was asked one time during my stream this past week who the worst team in the MLS was in my opinion. I said Colorado, and if we compare the 2 teams, Colorado sit in last place in the Western Conference with a -6 goal difference. That's actually not too bad for a last place team. RSL sit right behind them, or technically right in front of them in 10th place with a -20 goal difference. Obviously, this past week had a lot to do with that, but they have the worst goal difference in the league, and they look completely clueless. Completely clueless. I would have to say that I'm changing my worst team answer now to RSL. So at the top of the conferences, a little bit of a change of pace here. Not a lot changing, actually. Toronto, still sitting in first place in the East. Yeah, they lost on the weekend. So what? They still have a commanding lead in the Eastern Conference by 4 points over Chicago, who still sits in 2nd place. But let's talk about Chicago. I was asked in a comment on one of these videos, when was I going to talk about Chicago? Well, maybe now is not the time you want to talk about them, because it's not so much about Chicago, but just the game that took place on Sunday down in Orlando. This one really caught my eye. It was on before the Sounders game, which I also watched, and we'll talk about. But I was watching this game, and I picked this thing to finish 1-1 because Orlando is normally good at home. Normally very, very good. Came into the game 6 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss at home this season. Very, very solid. Chicago struggles on the road. They came in 1 win, 3 losses, 2 draws this season on the road. So a bit of a stalemate, I thought. With Orlando slightly struggling a little bit right now, I thought Chicago could probably take a point off of them. The game ended 0-0, and it didn't go the way I expected. Rafael Ramos, making his return after a very long time out with injury, playing at right back for Orlando, very good young player from Portugal, got sent off in the 26th minute on just one of the worst calls in the MLS this year. The refereeing in the MLS this year has just been lovely, hasn't it? I don't even know how he gave a foul on that play. It was a situation where the 2 players, Ramos from Orlando, the right back, and the left back from Chicago, Vincent, were looking straight up in the air at a ball that was coming down, and they were running towards the landing point. Both stuck a foot out. They collided. The ref sent Ramos off. How? For what? It wasn't endangering a player. They both did the exact same thing. Vincent stayed down on the ground a little bit longer. I think he kind of took a stud in the ankle maybe because they both put their foot up, and I think Ramos caught him a little bit. But it was completely incidental, and he had no intent. He wasn't even looking at Vincent. Vincent did the exact... I don't understand. I don't know what that play was. Either way, Orlando went down a man less than 30 minutes into the game. Now, what does Chicago do with the man advantage? Not a lot, actually. Not really a whole lot. And I had I think a large part of that was because Chicago is not going to be good against a team that's going to sit back anyway. They like to get out on the counterattack. David Accam needs space to be at his best. He likes to pick the ball up, dribble at players, or get in behind and have it over the top ball played to him. Against a bank of defenders, 2 banks of defenders, he's going to be completely neutralized, and he was in this game. But not only did Chicago not do anything against a team that was a man down, 40 minutes later, in the 66th minute, Nocherino gets sent off on a play that was a bit more justifiable for a red card. He put his studs into a dude's hip. You can't do that. I had no problem with that sending off. But Orlando's now down to 9 men, and Chicago still didn't do anything. To be fair, they got quite a few shots. Not the greatest attempts. I don't think Bendik, okay? Bendik didn't really have the greatest saves in the world, but he made all the saves he had to make. So kudos to him for doing that. But he wasn't tested all that much. I think Chicago banged one off the crossbar at one point. That was the most dangerous play they had all game long. But it just wasn't that impressive from Chicago. And when you're playing for 30 minutes against a team that's down 2 men, you expect to score a goal. Whether you're at home or on the road, doesn't matter. You expect them to get more from that game than a 0-0 draw. All right, so now let's talk about the Sounders, shall we? Winners of 3 of their last 4. Yes, the 3 wins have all come at home. All 1-0 wins. So take from that what you will, but they're still wins. I don't care if it's only 1-0. Still wins. 9 points at home in a row. I like that. The 1 loss came on the road to Columbus. Remember the asterisk, okay? Remember the asterisk where people are away at international duty? Dempsey and Jordan Morris? Yes, remember that? Okay, just so that you remember. So that 3-0 loss, that team that they had out there for that loss wasn't a Sounders team. I don't even know some of the players that were. I don't even know who some of those players were. Honestly, I haven't seen them ever before. So we'll just chalk that up to not having the right personnel fit and actually available to play. I will just forget about that 3-0 loss, okay? Don't even worry about it. But the wins that they've gotten recently at home, 1-0 over RSL, not that impressive considering what I've mentioned that has happened to RSL recently, especially with RSL on the road, hasn't been good. So probably could have done a little bit better there, but still it's a win. A 1-0 win over Portland at home, I'll take it. It's a derby, it's at home, we had to win it, we got the job done, I'll take it, don't care what the score is. And that most recently 1-0 win over Houston at home as well. And Houston, awful on the road this season. Really good at home, awful on the road. I still don't care. I actually don't care. That Sounders team that was out there against Houston was probably the best team that the Sounders have had fit and available to play all season long. We saw the return of not only Chad Marshall, but Roman Torres. I think that's the first time that they've actually paired together this season. I mean, they've been going through a million injuries in that defense. And it was one of the best defenses they put out there all season long with Brad Evans at right back and Jovan Jones at left back. That is probably their best defense that they have available. Maybe the best that they have on the roster. It was nice to see them again, and you could tell the rest of the team benefited from them being in there. You could tell they got a boost from that. Ozzy Alonso had a little bit more room to go forward. He's actually really good with the ball at his feet, makes a lot of people miss, and is really creative. And he had room to go forward now, and it was just a really, really, really good, confident performance from this Sounders team, and we haven't seen that in a very, very long time. Yes, they only ended up winning 1-0, but you know what? They pounded Houston for 90 straight minutes. Houston was never in the game. They just now need to get that whole goal scoring thing fixed, and I think we'll see the return of the full Sounders. Adding Dempsey and Morris back into the team will certainly help as well once they come back from international duty. I really, really like the look at this team now, at least what I saw against Houston. And a special shout out, and he's going to be getting a star later in this episode, in case you were wondering, to Christian Roldan. Scored the only goal in that Portland Derby to get the last win at home, so huge game from him there. This last game against Houston, and I tweeted this at the time, during the game as well, and he actually liked this tweet, which was kind of awesome. It's not often you see a center attacking mid, which Roldan is, who normally plays center defensive mid, get a start at striker, as he did against Houston. He started at striker in that game, and then moved to right back in the middle of the match, which he did against Houston. Absolutely absurd. He can actually play everywhere. Not only did he play everywhere, but he also got the game-winning assist on his cross to Will Bruin to win the game. Christian Roldan might be the most I don't even know if you can call him, I was gonna say he's the most underrated midfielder in the MLS, but I don't even know if you can call him a midfielder. He's literally played strikers, center mid, center defensive mid, and right back this season. He plays everywhere, and he plays great no matter where he plays. So on to the 3 stars for this past week. Star number 1 is going to go to Roland Lema. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize, Dallas fans. I don't get to see many Dallas games, but the dude netted a 30-minute hat trick and got Dallas off to a 3-0 lead. Yes, against RSL. So take from that what you will, but he's still not knocked in a hat trick in 30 minutes. Definitely deserving of a star. Star number 2 is going to go to Diego Fagundes, who, and I said this during one of my live streams recently, he looks like he's finally becoming the player that he was supposed to be when he first came into the league. He was super, super hyped when he first joined New England, the New England Revolution. Lots of links to him going overseas very soon. Hasn't really materialized into that player. This season, I think he's been one of his best at New England. Absolutely phenomenal. Had a great performance this past weekend. I think he scored a goal and had an assist, and I mean, he was all over the place and absolutely incredible. 3rd star, like I said, Christian Roldan. I get to see him play every week, and on a team that has Clint Dempsey and Nico Ladero and Ozzy Alonso and just the names and Jordan, just the names on that team. Christian Roldan is one of, if not the best player in Rave Green every single week. Absolutely phenomenal, and I know very soon he will be at least making an appearance for the U.S. men's national team. Has to happen soon. So that is all I have to talk about for this week. This upcoming week in the MLS, not a whole lot going on. Only 3 games this upcoming weekend, as we do have sort of an international break now going on. But the big game this upcoming weekend is going to be USA and Mexico at the Azteca. Let me know what your guys' score predictions are down in the comments below. I don't think playing at the Azteca I can go 2-0, but I really, really want to. I'll probably say I want to go 2-2 on this one. I think it's going to be a really, really tight game, and I think the United States finally figures out how to score more goals. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, but let me know what you guys' thoughts are down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you when we come back for some more Major League 90. See ya.